This morning I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Mr. Robert Tibbs, an award-winning entrepreneur, investor, executive, and the most appropriate keynote speaker for this conference focused on global e-commerce. Mr. Tibbs is currently the founder, chairman, and CEO of Forbes Digital Commerce, a provider of marketing and commerce solutions to businesses that want to connect with their consumers. Forbes Digital Commerce is part of his Swiss-based company, Loteris SA, a global cloud-based payment and solutions provider. Mr. Tibbs has strong international experience and relationships in both major and emerging markets, as he has lived and built businesses on 4 continents and over 50 countries. Mr. Tibbs has seen the world of mobile technology continue to evolve and has been a major player in new developments, especially in mobile payments and digital commerce space. Through his newest venture, Forbes Digital, he is reinventing the mobile payment space by providing the most intuitive, mobile-enabled transaction solutions for enterprises and governments. Prior to Forbes, Mr. Tibbs founded Accelon, an award-winning #1 rated regional satellite broadband company. He co-founded Actel, a satellite telecommunications company, and he co-founded Africa Venture Partners, a venture capital management firm based in South Africa. Throughout his career, he has also managed and founded Caden, a company that supports funds and mentors small business startups. He's a Bachelor of Applied Science in Behavioral Sciences, summa cum laude, from the State University of New York Institute of Technology at Utica, Rome. He currently is a dual U.S. and Swiss citizen, speaks English and French, and resides with his family in San Francisco, California. And in fact, Robert's beautiful wife, Anna Tina, is with us today as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Robert Tibbs.
Up to everything that he just said, so I'll do my best to say whatever I can. The first thing I'd like to say is the most important thing he said was that my wife Valentina is here, and she is indeed the most important thing. Welcome, good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. The conference itself, looking at e-commerce. One of the first points I'd like to make is that e-commerce is a wonderful term. You know, it seems like the world is coming to us in a hurry, but in reality, e-commerce is commerce. It's not. It's a technologically driven event that's come upon us, but we human beings we don't move quite as quickly as technology. So, as I'd like to, as you recall my background, I'm not a technologist. I'm not a business person per se. I studied behavioral science. So what fascinates me is really looking at what we do, what we like, how we behave, what motivates us. And in fact, technology is bringing incredible opportunities for us all, but there's still opportunities for us. And it really must be adapted to who we are as people. So, and I'll share some of we've had a very interesting journey. I'll share a couple of thoughts about how e-commerce has given us opportunities, but I'll also hopefully bring us back to the fact that as you explore your world via e-commerce, that you do that with a recognition that you're really still connecting to people. How many of you are entrepreneurs? Great. I applaud you. It's a disease, as we were saying, You can't see an opportunity without going for it. But there are some things that need to be embraced as you do so. So, as I mentioned, behavioral science is really my stick. I love this intersection, this fusion of technology and human beings. And if you think about technology, just contemplate the pace at which technology is changing and accelerating. You know, I think back on, and that's in everything, medical, telecoms, you know, if you put an iPhone on a table 50 years ago and somebody said, what is that? You'd probably get arrested if you give an honest answer. It's extraordinary what technology is doing. Think about just in transportation. In 1908, there was not a human being that had ever gone up in the air. I just finished reading David McCullough's new book about the Wright brothers. 1908 was the year my father was born. Not one human being had been up in the air. Today, we climb into little tubes with hundreds of other people and whip around the other side of the planet. We've got our first spacecraft that has left our solar system. In 1977, it was launched. My father was still alive. Technology is extraordinary, and it's accelerating. Pick up Peter Diamandis' book, Bold, or one of his earlier books, extreme acceleration in technology. And it's brought us e-commerce as a way of connecting. So the world has come to us. If we think about e-commerce again, it is this strong capacity for us to connect to other people. And what technology has done, it has brought other people closer to us. So people on the other side of the world, they are now exposed to what you do, they're exposed to what you like, they're exposed to what you like to learn and do in your spare time, and they're also exposed to the desire for your products and services. But they need to be related to in the context of who they are as human beings. It is not just simply slap up a website, get a payment provider, and you're in business. Because I don't mean to surprise you, but there are one or two other people who are slapping up websites and have a payment provider. So it really is an issue of how do you partner, how do you really connect with them and build a commercial relationship that is still a commercial relationship. I started my career, actually, I like to call it a career, when I was 5 or 6 years old selling tomatoes down by the roadside. We lived on a farm in southern New Jersey. Didn't have much, so I call that my T-commerce career because we were selling tomatoes before it was really fashionable. So T-commerce, e-commerce, e-commerce is still commerce. And what I learned when I was a little kid was that my brothers would just go and sell their tomatoes. But what I would do, I was the youngest, when nothing was going on, I would just kind of polish up my tomatoes. So my tomatoes sitting next to the little board with my brother's tomatoes, mine were shinier. And inevitably, the car would stop, and you'd come over to the board, and we would pick up my little basket of tomatoes. So I learned as a kid that what you do, how you relate to them as people, is really what sells. And that experience has stayed with me as we looked at businesses, built businesses. We done some really crazy things in business. We built an earth station in downtown Lagos, Nigeria. But it was still built with the premise that there must be some way that we can communicate to our customers in a way that gives them value added relative to our competitors. The e-commerce world does not take that away from you. So, again, e-commerce is still commerce. I'll also just share with you that the world, it's an interesting place, and I see many different kinds of faces. We talked to many people that are representing many different countries. Most everyone now is comfortable in multicultural. We're just sitting at the table talking about, giggling about our experiences in Japan. In Japan, for goodness, when I was a kid, I didn't know where Japan was. And most didn't I? But we do now. There are very few of us that have limited interaction and exposure to different cultures and sensitivity to those cultures. Most of us do. But it's critical to be able to embrace those differences and find a way in those e-commerce strategies to address the cultural divide. My wife and I were in Botswana, and you'll be surprised how many people know and understand you and actually want what you have to sell. We're in Botswana walking down the street, and there's a KFC, and I'm walking next to the bar, and I said to my wife, I said, geez, look at that, there's a KFC here. The gentleman in Botswana that was walking with us, he said to us, geez, do you have KFC in America too? I said, I don't know, let me check. So don't assume that there is limited knowledge of you and what you have. Don't assume that there's anything else other than a deep appreciation for the same kind of things that you care about. What you must find is a way to tap into that and find a way to leverage your e-commerce activity and build links that really let people know that you get that. You know, we've had, as I said, we've really seen this world. It's a big world, but not that big. And fundamentally, it's filled with people, and people generally operate the same way. So, accept my misgivings of being more focused on behavioral science, but business is an interaction between human beings. These days, it really is it's a one world, it's a close one world, and we'll talk in a moment about some practicalities around e-commerce. But let me share another story about just the speed at which you can move into this business. We have a son. Our son was about 14-year-old holiday in Greece, and he bought a watch. He's like, what can I tell you? He likes the bling, you know. So this kid, he bought this watch, and he likes anything that shines. So at 14, he buys a watch, a few other bracelets here and there. And then about 2 years ago, he decided to say, you know, I'm going to turn my passion into a business. So at the age of 18, this kid established a company. You know, I don't think he was out of high school, or just barely out of high school. He established a company, so at 14 he buys his first watch, at 18 he's got a company, at 20 he's selling jewelry all over the world, and he does that how? He put up a website, got a payment provider, and started selling jewelry. And I'm thinking, now, how could that have happened a few years ago? It just simply couldn't. The photographs of the product is taken on his iPhone. His payment and banking activity is done on his iPhone. He produces in a little corner of his bedroom, and he's selling stuff in Singapore. Figure it out. So, how does he take that hobby and turn it into a business? And that really is the challenge that you have. One of the big issues in e-commerce, of course, is discovery, because there are lots of sites out there, lots of e-commerce portals out there, lots of payment providers. I would argue that the acceleration in mobile payment technology is just going to give you greater opportunities. It's coming fast. We're looking at a new business now, a private company, that's looking at capturing remittances. There are billions of dollars coming back into developing countries to help the people in developing countries. It's actually much larger than all the foreign aid combined. So how do you tap into those flows? And the way you do that is you go where the money is going, figure out the recipients in those recipient communities, who is wanting what and why. And you may need to partner, you may need to find, and there are many companies that are helping you do that. They're familiar with the areas that you would be wanting to sell your goods. In practical terms, if you take a country, we've done a lot of work in Nigeria, a lot of business over there, in many other countries, but do some research and find out who is buying what you sell. And then find a relationship, a partnership through places like this conference, through business assistance and introductory agencies that can help you dig into those markets and figure out that it is a market for you, and then find out how you can partner with someone that's going to help you with the discovery. If you go back to my son's business, he said, great, we've got a website. But you know what he does for discovery? He beats the street. He really goes around and takes his own business part. And there's that high-level e-commerce activity, and then there's that practical commerce activity. And I will repeat it again. E-commerce is still commerce. It's commerce. And it's fundamental to us as human beings. And commercial activity has been happening since the beginning of time. And it won't change. It won't change because technology has brought us new ways to do it. So it really is about the fundamentals of your business strategy that really matters. One other thing is the conferences like this, I would urge you to literally, every person that you meet, try to figure out whether they have a way for you to reach into the markets that you want to reach into. And again, I would urge all of you that if you're looking at those markets, know which markets that they are. You can waste a tremendous amount of time very efficiently looking at the same market that really doesn't make a lot of sense for you. We love to be able to help. As I said, we've had a very interesting and a very fortunate run. So our journey has been particularly blessed. But I would say that if you are in a position, as we were discussing earlier, it's important that you reach back and help those entrepreneurs that are trying to make their way. And it is I like to think that the small and medium entrepreneurs, they really are the engine that drives global economic growth in every country. Every major company in the world, and we deal with a lot of them, they started as you. They started as a small business that was an idea that was driven by your passion and your money and your time, and you're borrowing you from your family, and sometimes borrowing your family as well, as I do. So I applaud your efforts. We would be very happy to. I always say this, and I always regret it afterwards because some people take me up on the offer, but we cannot resist helping you if you reach out and ask for help. So we find a way to get in touch and ask us a question. We will certainly try and point you to people or institutions that can help you grow business because we're passionate about it. We're passionate about it not because it generates economic activity, but we're passionate about it because it really is a human endeavor that we embrace. It is our way and your way to improve the lives and the livelihood of people in your families, in your communities, in your country, and in the world. So I'll simply end my comments by saying that it's a pleasure really to be accorded the opportunity to address you. We wish you all the very, very best in your endeavors. I'd like to thank the conference and say that it's a wonderful opportunity to get people together in this region. My wife she's never been to Texas before. So she had her first barbecue last night. And so in addition to the conference, I get to tell the kids about my wife trying to get that brisket down last night. She's from Switzerland, so she's used to cheese and chocolate, but that brisket was a real interesting affair. So again, thank you. Please, if there's a way that we can help in any way, or if there are questions, happy to handle them for you.